this council at various civic events in the district and beyond. As usual, the events I've attended as your representative are listed at the end of today's agenda. But one that's not listed, and I feel is most appropriate, is that my last duty as chair was to present an award at the Colleague Excellence Awards on Tuesday. And we do all as a council depend, and as councillors, depend heavily on the excellent service our officers provide for this council. And I take this opportunity to pay particular thanks in my role to Andy, to Pippa, and to the Democratic Services team who look after us and ensure all our meetings run smoothly. Also to John Murphy, our monitoring officer, who sits beside me, always ready to prompt me as needed and to ensure that I stick to the correct procedure. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Glenda Hanson, who, in addition to all her other duties, organises the chair's diary, deals with all the correspondence, and has ensured that, so far as possible, I'm at the right place at the right time with the right information about whatever event I'm attending, or at least that I have no excuse for not being there. And lastly, I want to thank you, my fellow councillors, for your support and at times your tolerance as I've chaired this council over the last 2 years. But now to the election of my successor as chair. Are there any nominations for the office of Chair of the Council for 2025-2026 municipal year? I see Councillor Bridget Smith, leader.
Thank you very much indeed. So firstly, thank you very much, Councillor Fane, for all your service as chair and for your very obvious dedication to the role. It's been much appreciated. I should like to nominate Councillor Peter Sanford to be chair of the council moving forward. I think everyone will agree Peter's been a really steady and very fair vice chair, and he has had to step into the role on a number of occasions. And I think we'd also all agree that he's reliable and patient and fair, which is a good grounding for being chair of the council. He's been councillor since 2022, representing Caxton and Papworth, and it's a sort of common face for people watching the council meetings. And he's attended, I think, about 45 meetings over the last year, which is not an insubstantial number. So he understands the breadth of the work we do as a council, and I think will, as I know, will undoubtedly take the role of chair seriously and professionally, as he's done as vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for this nomination? Councillor Milnes.
Yes, I would like to second Councillor Sanford into the role. Thank you.
Are there any other nominations for this role? Well, we still need to, we have a procedure at the moment. So our constitution for the moment requires that a secret ballot be undertaken. And so I invite Councillor Sanford to leave the room, there being no other nominations. And Democratic Services will distribute ballot papers, which you will need to complete. Right. Members, shall we reconvene? Well, members, I can announce that the person you have elected as your new Chair of Council is Councillor Peter Sanford. Congratulations. Members, bear with us for a few moments while Councillor Sanford signs the declaration and so on. And I think our monitoring officer has to, yes, you need to read out the declaration. That's right, Councillor Sanford.
Thank you, Councillor Fane, and thank you, colleagues, for electing me chair. I will read out the declaration of acceptance of office now. I, Peter Sanford, having been elected to the office of Chair of South Cambridgeshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it, according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected of members of South Cambridgeshire District Council. I will now sign the declaration. Colleagues and members of the public, thank you for your patience while we sort out the IT and the seating arrangements. I will now do a few short housekeeping announcements. As usual, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. We also allow recording, filming and photography, so long as the meeting is not disrupted. Please ensure your phone is on silent. You should keep your microphone switched off until you are invited to speak. If participating remotely when you are invited to address the meeting, please make sure your microphone and camera are switched on. And then, when you finish addressing the meeting, please turn your microphone and camera off. Members attending remotely should indicate their wish to speak through a chat message in the Teams meeting. Those present in the chamber should indicate their wish to speak by raising their hand. I will ask the Vice Chair to note the order of speakers. The chat facility should not be used for any other purposes except where necessary to write down a simple amendment. Complex amendments should have been shared with Democratic Services in advance of the meeting. When we move to a vote on any item and there is not clear affirmation, I will state that a recorded vote will be taken. Members in the chamber will then vote electronically, selecting for, against, or abstain. The results will be displayed. The meeting is quorate, so we will proceed. And before we move to the next item of business, I've got a request to vary the order of agenda. We'd like the gentleman from Pampersford Parish Council to speak after we've agreed the minutes of previous meetings. Obviously, he's probably not interested in our internal nominations and discussions. So if everyone's in agreement with the change of order, would you please indicate by affirmation? Anyone against? Okay, we will vary the order accordingly. Thank you all. Item 2 is election of Vice Chair of the Council for 2025-26. In accordance with the Constitution, the Vice Chair will also be elected by secret ballot. Are there any nominations for the office of Vice Chair of the Council for the 2025-26 municipal year? Bridget Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to nominate Councillor Eileen Wilson as the Vice Chair of Council. Eileen's been a councillor since 2018, representing Cottenham Ward. She is a consummate professional, a kind and compassionate voice for her residents, and her breadth of experience in her working life will make her a real asset within the role. She served on audit and corporate governance, civic affairs, GCP assembly, licensing, scrutiny and overview, and planning, which is quite a track record. And so she knows the council like the back of her hand, and I have every confidence in her as an outstanding vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Is there a seconder for this nomination? Councillor Mounds.
Thank you, Chair. And I'd like to second everything that Bridget just said. A consummate councillor, help guide us and yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? I see no other nominations. As before, we need to do a secret ballot, even though there's only one nomination. I will ask Democratic Services to distribute the polling papers, and Councillor Wilson to leave the room, please. Councillors, I can declare that Councillor Eileen Wilson did indeed receive the most votes and is duly appointed Vice Chair. There will be a short delay while she signs the acceptance of office.
I, Eileen Wilson, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair of South Cambridgeshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I undertake to observe the code as to the conduct which is expected of members of South Cambridgeshire District Council. Sign.
I'll stand, you can stay seated.
Thank you.
Okay, comfortable?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you all. Moving on, item 3 on the agenda is apologies. Democratic Services, are there any apologies for absence?
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Councillor Garvey, Hart, Henry Batchelor. Oh, no, I think Councillor Garvey's here. I've seen her. So apologies. Okay, leaving early, sorry. Henry Batchelor, MacDonald, Stobart, Bhattacharya and Osborne, but I can see that Councillor Osborne is online.
Which answers my next question. Are there any members who are participating remotely? Just Councillor Osborne, thank you. Item 4, declarations of interest. Do any members have any interest to declare in relation to any item of business on this agenda? If an interest becomes apparent later in the meeting, please raise it at that point. Okay, I see no hands. Do you see hands? Okay. Thank you all. No declarations of interest noted. Item 5, minutes of previous meetings. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve for the meetings of Council held on the 25th of February 2025 and 19th of March 2025. I will take them one by one. I will take the minutes of the Council meeting held on the 25th of February 2025 first. Do any members have any amendments to these minutes? Councillor Heather Williams.
Thank you. It's just in relation to page 14. It's the third paragraph down. It says, during the course of debate, concern was raised in relation to borrowing through short-term loans. It wasn't the borrowing itself, it's the refinancing, borrowing on short term with the view to refinance it year on year. So it is actually long-term borrowing that is masked as short-term for technical terms. So just wondering if we could have a concern about short-term borrowing, loans being brought out with the view to refinance them year on year, because it's the refinancing that was the concern that was raised as opposed to actually having a short-term loan itself. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Democratic Services, could we update accordingly? Thank you. Councillor Leeming.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a small matter on page 10 in the leader's announcement, agenda item 4B. It's the second paragraph. It says further detail was shared in relation to LGBTQ plus month. It's actually LGBTQ plus history month. that word could just be added. I think that would
Thank
make
you.
more sense.
Yes.
Thank you.
If Democratic Services, you could add the extra word, please. We'll now move on to the minutes of the extraordinary council meeting held on the 19th of March 2025. Do members have any amendments to those minutes? Okay, I see no requests. Members, I propose we approve both sets of minutes with the changes discussed to the first minutes. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Wilson, thank you for seconding. Members, are you content to take the decision by affirmation?
Agreed.
Does anyone wish to vote against the proposal? Does anyone wish to abstain? Okay, the council therefore agrees the approval of the minutes of the meetings held on the 25th of February 2025 and 19th of March 2025 as a correct record with the minor updates discussed previously. At this point, with the variance of the order of agenda that we discussed, we'll move on to what is shown in your agenda packs. Let me find the correct number. Item 19, the adoption of the Pampisford Neighbourhood Plan, which is on pages 241 to 370 of your agenda pack. I invite the lead member for planning, Councillor Toomey Hawkins, to introduce this report and move to the recommendations. Oh dear. Hooligan. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Apologies for the short tech issue, but we're over it now. Yes, this is the 9th neighbourhood plan that is being brought forward to be made in South Cambridgeshire. Just to say, the Pampisford neighbourhood area was first designated by the council in 2018. And 7 years of work by the community steering group, working with the parish council and the local community, has resulted in this neighbourhood plan being formally submitted to us June 2024 to carry out the later stages of the plan-making process. Now, a referendum was held on the 8th of April 2025, with 31.6% of those eligible to vote turning up to have their say. And of those that voted, 98.78 were in favour of the plan being adopted. And as you will see from the report, there's a lot of information contained in it. But I just want to make a couple of observations. I was pleased to see that when the neighbourhood plan original survey was carried out in 2018, some of those that responded included young people under 16 years of age at the time, which is good, because as many of you might know, I do like to hear the voices of our young people in how they want to see their communities develop. And I hope that they'll continue to engage as time goes on. I also learned that Pampisford has history going back to 1086, when the population was 137 inhabitants. Now, it then grew to 359 by 1851, which means it grew by 222 in 765 years. Now, interestingly, the 2021 census reports a population of 361, which is just 2 more than it was in 1851. So it's interesting. I mean, Pampisford hasn't really grown, has it? But hey, it's a historic village. And it turns out that 78% of the inhabitants are over 20 years old. So, you know, we need more young people, potentially. Anyway, the other thing is the church, which is dedicated to St. John the Baptist, is the only medieval building in the parish, with parts of it dating back to Norman times. It's interesting the things that you find out and learn when we have these neighborhood plans developed. I really enjoy looking at, reading through them. In terms of our local plan, Pampisford is classed as an infill village, obviously because of the size and limited facilities, but it also has its needs. The Housing Needs Survey of 2020 shows that 12 households are in need of affordable housing. I also note that through policy PAM8, the residents hope to have the site of the Checkers pub, which unfortunately burnt down in 2021, to be restored as a pub and place of social interaction. And I really, really hope that that will come to pass for the community. The Pampisford Neighborhood Plan has an overall vision, and it's quite interesting to, that it wants to be a village community that combines the benefits of its rural, historic character and connectedness to modern facilities and travel routes to be an ever more friendly and sustainable place to live for all generations. The neighborhood plan has 8 themes and 9 goals, which you will find on pages 272 to 273. And to support that, it has 18 policies to deliver that vision. And it seeks to maintain and improve the character of the village and its distinctiveness, to meet the needs of the community by supporting new housing that is affordable and of appropriate size, to protect, enhance, and give access to the rural community and the rural environment surrounding the village, improve and protect local employment areas, and protect valued local heritage assets. And there's quite a few significant ones there. Now, once made, i.e. adopted, the plan then becomes part of our development plan for South Cambridgeshire. And our planning decisions will be taken looking at those policies as and when they are appropriate. I would like to acknowledge the efforts that members of the steering group and committee have made in preparing this Pampisford Neighborhood Plan. It does take a lot of time, 7 years, and dedication of volunteers. And I also wish to thank officers from within the planning policy team who have supported the steering group throughout the plan-making process, especially Samantha Johnston, who's worked closely with the steering group since 2023. Now, this neighborhood plan is a great achievement that will have a positive impact in delivering the South Cambs Development Plan, taking into account the specific needs of the community of Pampisford. So, I hereby move the recommendation that we find in paragraph 3 on page 241 of our report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Is there a seconder for this item? Councillor Bradnam.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll reserve my right to speak.
Thank you, Councillor Bradnam. At this point, I would invite a member of the Pampisford Parish Council Neighbourhood Plan team to make a few remarks.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Dr. Sanford, was it? It's gone off my screen now, so I can't remember. I'm Bill Gysin, I'm Chair of Pampisford Parish Council, and I really just want to use this opportunity to recognise the work that goes into the preparation of a neighbourhood plan, even for a small community like Pampisford. Although it was the Parish Council that initiated the project and has overseen it during its gestation, it's important to say that without the professional guidance of Rachel Hogger at Modicum Planning and the voluntary contributions of many others, this item would not be on today's agenda, let alone so near the top, and thank you for that as well. In particular, I'd like to thank my predecessor as chair of Pembrokeshire Parish Council, Oriole Ragg, for having the courage and the foresight to kick the whole thing off. And she's remained closely involved for the entire duration, something that I'm extremely grateful for. Huge thanks must go to Heather Panton, who was the councillor who did all the heavy lifting prior to 2023, and Will Simonson, who took over much of the work from Heather and remains a linchpin of the project today. And many others gave their time on the steering committee, including Joanna Hudson, Chaz Hunt, Mary Hunt, Gary Janes, Malcolm Kane, Roger Turnbull, Graham Oodle, Peter Vipers, Ruth Westwood, and Kay Williams. And of course, I need to thank Pembrokeshire's Parish Council clerks, both past, Belinda, and present, Elaine, for their constant work behind the scenes to keep the whole show on the road. So finally, I'd also like to thank the village as a whole for what can only be described as a cracking turnout and vote of confidence in the referendum. And thank you for that, and thank you all for letting me have these few minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Guyson. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Councillor Heather Williams.
Thank you, Chair, and through yourself to congratulate all those involved. We know as district councillors how much effort there has to go into it, and as you say, it does take years and perseverance, so very much congratulations on that. And as a planning committee member, how useful and effective they really can be when it comes to determining applications. It really does help give us something that we can attribute weight to. As great as the consultation responses are, having that local voice in policy is so important. So thank you for that. Thank you for making, hopefully, if there's any applications, our lives that little bit easier on planning committee, because we know exactly what it is that you would like to see, and hope to see more and more of them coming through in the future.
Thank you. I don't see any more requests to speak. Councillor Bradham, did you wish to make any comments?
I could come back as seconder if you're happy.
Yeah, this is a seconder.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I just wanted to congratulate all the people involved over the years. It's been a long time, hasn't it, since 2018. I just wanted to congratulate all the people who've been involved in drawing up the Pampersford local plan. Because it involves a lot of time and thought and input from, the parish council, guided by the officers, but also that gathering together of local knowledge. And sometimes that involves pulls one way against another and trying to reach a satisfactory resolution of those things. And what I just wanted to say was that these plans mean that you have thought and considered where you want housing, employment sites, recreation facilities, pubs even, and you want to support them, where you've got footpaths and landscape and woodland and green spaces. And what this whole process gives the local community is an opportunity to have a say in how their community is going to be shaped going forward into the future, and also the things that they want to protect from the past. So it's really powerful guidance to the planning committee, and we really appreciate the work that you've put in, and it gives us a strong plan to follow if we are making decisions in the area of Pampersford. So thank you very much, and congratulations on getting your plan made. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Bradnam. Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation?
Agreed.
Does anyone wish to vote against the proposal? Does anyone wish to abstain? The Council therefore agrees the motion by affirmation. The Pampersford plan is made. Congratulations. We'll now return to the normal order of the agenda, and item 6A is announcements from the chair. I would just like to thank my predecessor, Councillor Fane, for ably chairing the council for the last 2 years, particularly note his efforts of pulling together the 50th anniversary celebration last year, which had excellent participation from officers, residents and past members. Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Fane, I'm going to ask you to come to the front again. We have a small presentation for you. Yes,
Do you have to pin it on, or can I do that myself?
I'd like to tell us what you're giving.
Thank you very much.
For those sitting in the back, it's a pin which says past chairman. I thought it said fast chairman, but no, it is past chairman. Okay, moving on to item 6B, announcements from the Leader in Cabinet. Leader, do you have any announcements?
Thank you very much, Chair. So, some nice news. Councillor Michael Atkins has got a new son, little boy called William Arthur. So that's a nice way to start. Obviously, the last year has seen quite a lot of political change in South Cambridgeshire. We started off with the election of 3 new Lib Dem MPs and a win in the Histon and Impian by-election by James Rickson. But obviously, in the last few weeks, we've seen a clean sweep of Liberal Democrats in the county council elections within South Cambridgeshire for the first time ever. So congratulations to Peter Fane, Peter MacDonald, Henry Batchelor and Anna Bradnam as well as yes, our double hatters who are very, very valuable to us. It was a huge privilege to take part in the Colleague Excellence Awards this week, recognising amazing work by council officers. It's really very, because the standard work that goes on here, I don't quite know how anybody gets singled out, quite honestly, and I'm very glad that I don't have to make those decisions, because I think they're probably impossible. But the exceptional winners were Gizzy Welsher, Chris Riches, the facilities team, Tom Garner, Rebecca Smith, and the Contact Centre, who we all know work relentlessly. And then just a couple of other things. We've broken the ground for the Northstowe Unity Centre, and that's been long awaited, and I think it's actually going up very fast indeed. And Informal Cabinet have seen a report on the latest update from the lift work that Chris Riches has been leading on, and there'll be more of this to follow very soon for all members. But it shows that we've extended. It identifies that we've extended the cost of living support with over £150,000, but the amount of money that's actually gone into the pockets of people in South Cambridgeshire is really, really significant. And there's been a massive effort on the part of Chris, and I'm sure he's had help, actually, because one person could not have made all those phone calls single-handedly. That's resulted in a huge increase in the people actually getting the benefits to which they're entitled. So thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Item 6C, announcements from the Head of Paid Service. Nothing from Liz Watts, thank you. We can move on to item 7, appointments to Cabinet, including statutory deputy leader. I invite the Leader of the Council to confirm her appointments to Cabinet.
Thank you very much indeed. The membership of Cabinet remains as it was. The only 2 slight changes is we've changed the names of a couple of them. Councillor Brian Milnes is now referred to just as Deputy Leader, and Councillor Natalie Warren-Green is now referred to just as Environment. She is the Environment now. So it's simplified it, and there is a supplementary paper, I gather, which gives the detail of what each Cabinet member's responsibility is. Hopefully it's simplified things a bit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Item 8, allocation of seats on committees and appointment of committee chairs. I call on the Elections and Democratic Services Manager to present the report, which you will see starting on page 41 of the agenda pack. I believe there's a supplementary sheet as well. Councillor Bradnam.
Just a question, just to make sure that we've got it in the public domain. The supplementary pack that we've received at item 7, for example, page 3, gives the name of the role, but it doesn't give the name of the person. And I thought part of it, our purpose was to declare who had that role. If it's printed somewhere else, that's great, but can we just check?
Can you answer that, Andy?
I think the leaders referred to a list that's been published today, which is a list of responsibilities within each portfolio. And I think she's made it clear that the people on Cabinet are staying the same and ironed out the slight tweaks to job titles effectively. So hopefully that's reasonably clear, but that's okay.
I just wondered if we needed to have it published.
It's on the website already, and we'll make sure it's put into the minutes of the meeting if that's satisfactory, or if the leader wishes to go through the names.
Sorry to be persistent, but this is the document I've taken off the website, and all it gives is the role title, not the
supplementary?
councillor who's been appointed to it. I might have an older version. Yeah. I just wanted to check whether we should be publishing the name of the councillor who's got the role.
They will be published as part of the minutes. I think the leaders just clarified that there's no changes to the people, so I think that's satisfactory.
Okay, I think Councillor Bradnam is satisfied. Could you go ahead with the allocation of the seats, please, Andy?
Thank you, Chair. This report is in sort of 6 parts, and as you mentioned, on page 41 of the agenda. So members are asked to approve the number of seats on each committee, the allocation of seats on those committees, the appointment of members to each of those committees, the nominations of chairs and vice chairs for each committee, the scheme of delegation for 25-26, and the reappointment of the independent person and deputy independent person for a period of further 2 years. And as the chair's pointed out, there has been a supplementary pack issued this morning, which details some changes that have come in this morning, some additions, names on there. So hopefully that will be clear for all members.
Thank you. I need a proposer for these recommendations.
Proposal comes from me, please.
Councillor Smith, and a seconder for these proposals.
And I will second.
Thank you, Councillor Milnes. Do any members wish to speak on this item? No, I see no hands. Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation? Does anyone wish to vote against the proposals? Does anyone wish to abstain? The Council therefore agrees the motion by affirmation. Thank you. Next we come to item 9, Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority, membership and other appointments. Members will be invited to approve appointments to the Combined Authority. We've also been invited to delegate authority to the Chief Executive to make amendments to these appointments in the event of any change in political balance across the Combined Authority area. Leader, would you confirm the names of your proposed appointments, please?
Thank you very much, Chair. So I shall remain as leader, our representative on the Cambridge and Peterborough Combined Authority Board, and Councillor John Williams will continue as substitute there because of his considerable expertise on buses and trains and finance in particular, which is hugely valuable. On the Audit and Governance Committee, Councillor Richard Stobart will be our representative, and Councillor Sunita Hansrad will be the substitute. And on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Aidan van der Weyer and Councillor Dr Martin Carr will be our representatives, with the substitutes Councillor Peter Fain and Councillor Eileen Wilson. I thank all those people for volunteering for the job.
Thank you. Is there a proposer for this item? Councillor Smith, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Milnes, thank you. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation?
Agreed.
Does anyone wish to vote against the proposal? Does anyone wish to abstain? The council therefore agrees the motion by affirmation. Thank you. Moving on to item 10, appointments to outside bodies. Members, we are invited to approve appointments to outside bodies. You can see the full list of updated proposed appointments which have been published today as a supplement to the agenda pack. The list is in two parts. The first is a list of council appointments, which is what we're looking at now. The second part of the list are appointments made by the leader and are shared here for reference. I propose the list of appointments be approved. Is there a seconder? Councillor Wilson. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Councillor Bradnam.
Thank you. It's just to note that on page 22 of the supplement that we're looking at, the appointee to Natural Cambridgeshire is, the appointee to the Local Access Forum is Dr. Martin Khan. It currently says Dr. Marion Khan. It's just, we know who it is, but it's just to get that clarified. Suddenly become Marion Alsop.
Thank you. I'm sure we can get that list corrected before it's published. Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation?
Agreed.
Does anyone wish to vote against the proposal? Does anyone wish to abstain? Therefore, the council agrees this motion by affirmation. Thank you. Item 11 is designation of the Scrutiny and Overview Committee as the Crime and Disorder Committee. Members, we are asked to designate the Council's Scrutiny and Overview Committee as its Crime and Disorder Committee in accordance with sections 19 and 20 of the Police and Justice Act 2006. I propose the recommendation. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation?
Agreed.
Does anyone wish to vote against the proposal? Does anyone wish to abstain? Therefore, council therefore agrees the motion by affirmation. Thank you. We move on to item 12, which is the first of the annual reports, the annual report from the Scrutiny and Overview Committee. 2024-25. I call on Councillor Cohn, Chair of the Scrutiny Overview Committee for the past year, to present the report. Councillor Cohn.
Thank you very much, Chair. I won't read the report, but as you can see, there's lots of stuff that's been done over the past year internally and calling external bodies into scrutiny. And I'd just really like to thank the committee as a whole for their dedication to the scrutiny process. I'd particularly like to thank my Deputy Chair and Ian Senior, who has subsequently retired, for all the work that they've done over the year. So, thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Cohn. Does any member wish to make comments? Councillor Smith.
Thank you very much indeed. So thank you, Councillor Cohn, and all your committee, Deputy obviously included that. I think the Scrutiny and Overview Committee has added enormous value to the work of the council. Long meetings, some of them, but important meetings. So greatly appreciate all the work you've done. You had some pretty stonking agendas to deal with. As I know, it's been a lot of hard work, but it really is appreciated by us in Cabinet. Thank you.
And thanks to the Cabinet as well for attending those meetings and engaging with that.
Thank you. Councillor Bradnam.
Thank you, Chair. As a member of the Scrutiny and Overview Committee, I just wanted to thank this council for undergoing the scheduling changes that were necessary to make this a pre-scrutiny committee. And it gives us, as a scrutiny committee, so much more opportunity to influence what goes forward to Cabinet for decision making. And so it makes our function a much more active one than it would be if it was post-scrutiny. And I just wanted to thank the Council for having done that. I think it was probably before this year, but it means that we can really be a functional scrutiny and overview committee, which I think members really appreciate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I see no more requests to speak. In which case we'll move on to item 13, which is the annual report of the Audit and Corporate Governance Committee for 2024-25. Councillor Michael Atkins, as noted earlier, is on paternity leave, having a recent baby, or his wife has had a recent baby. As Vice Chair of the committee, I wasn't actually prepared to do a detailed presentation. I can refer you to pages 95 to 108 of your agenda pack. I think it's fair to say it's been quite a challenging year as we continue to catch up on past audits. We've also had to bed in a new auditor, which has interesting moments. Definitely want to pay tribute to the Office of Support, Peter Maddock, who's recently retired, and Fazana Ahmed, who's picked up the reins. Thank you both for your help and support over the year. I won't promise to answer any questions, but if anyone wishes to speak, please raise their hand. Councillor Williams, Heather Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I agree, it's been a busy year for us on audit. I would say as well, one of the things that I know as a committee that we are trying to do, which is reflected in the report, but I think we can go slightly further, is to say that the audit, particularly accounts, affects everybody in the organisation, not just the finance department. And I think that moving forward, that understanding is crucial as to keeping up to date. And as members, every single one of us, it's not just if you're on audit or a member of cabinet, all of us have a responsibility to support that work in the best way we can and make sure that officers across the council support with the audit, because it can very easily just look like a figures and financing in the corner, but it's not just that, it's the risks, risk registers and everything else that goes with it. So thank you for all the work from officers that have been done on that committee. I know it's been very much a slog, but a slog worth doing.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Williams. Good point. Councillor Smith.
Thank you. So just building on what Councillor Williams has said, this is not an easy committee to be on. It demands huge attention to detail. So again, thank you very much to all those members who've given considerable time and diligence to the work of the committee, which again has added massive value to what we've done. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 14, the annual report of the Civic Affairs Committee for 2024-25. I call on Councillor Peter Fain, Chair of the Civic Affairs Committee for the past year, to present the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. The report is as tabled on page 111 onwards. I think members will be aware that this committee has responsibility in relation to constitutional review, electoral arrangements, and also standards. I would like to thank the members, as listed on page 112, for their support and consideration, in particular the Vice Chair, Councillor Paul Bearpark, who's been very valuable in his guidance to me. During the course of the year, during 4 meetings, the committee has considered reports on the standards process. We have considered constitutional changes to South Cambridgeshire District Council, which, both in relation to planning and other matters, which will be considered by this council shortly. A community governance review in the parishes of Great and Little Abington, and the final recommendations on that will be presented to this council in due course. And the reappointment of the independent members and various other matters. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Fain. Does anyone... Councillor Bradnam was first, then Councillor Smith.
Thank you. just a little teeny one before it gets published in any other places. There is an item on page 112 at the bottom of the page where it refers to appointment of temporary councillors to Croxton Parish Council anywhere, which I don't think is right. I think that's an auto complete, and so I just think the wording of that might need to be adjusted because it should just probably say appointment of temporary councillors to Croxton Parish Council, full stop. Thank you.
Thank you to Councillor Bradnam. Councillor Smith.
Thank you. So this is a information and detail heavy committee. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But, you know, this is the foundation for the, you know, it creates the foundation for all the work the council does. So again, thank you very much to all those people who managed to get very excited about what I think some quite dry stuff actually some of the time. But again, very, very vital, and all your commitment is much appreciated.
Thank you. I don't see any more requests to speak. Council is invited to receive this report, which I think we have done. Thank you. Item 15, Leader of the Opposition's annual statement. I invite the Leader of the Opposition, Councillor Heather Williams, to make her annual statement.
Thank you, Chair. So here we are, after another very busy year. Some of the things have been referenced earlier on. And it always seems such a sort of counterintuitive thing to do, to sit here and reflect on the year just gone, because there's so much to do in the future and things that we know we all need to focus on. But if we do not learn the lessons of the past, we will not plan properly for the future, I suppose. Over the last year in this chamber, I've been proud of what my group colleagues have strived to do. I hope while you might not agree with what we have said, you will agree that we have most definitely scrutinised the administration's plans, and that it is fundamentally important duty that falls to the opposition. Our job is to hold the administration to account and strive to promote positive changes to improve life for our residents. This year, we've supported our rural communities in trying to do our bit to support farmers, who are also so important to the whole rural economy, to the shops they supply, to the restaurants that use their food, and for everybody with the cost of living. We've supported nature in applying for the TPOs in Coton Orchard. I appreciate that there are grand schemes at play there, but I believe we did do the right thing in our duty in ensuring that the trees were given the status and protections that our authority can give. And I thank members both from my own group and the administration that voted in support of this. We have sought to support residents with the cost of living and have worked with the administration, and I hope they do feel that we have worked with them on local government reorganisation. We have definitely not been quiet when it comes to the 4-day week. It is not our job to make life easy for the administration on everything. But while I fundamentally disagree with things that the administration has done, particularly the 4-day week, the council tax increases and the increase of council rents, I like to believe we have disagreed on those issues in a healthy way, and I respect that others have different viewpoints to my own. This year, I also believe that we have seen the best and the not so good in local government here in South Cambs. We've always supported the administration in the expansion of council housing. We're very proud for our part in South Cambs' history on this, ensuring that we can have those debates that carry on today. But there have been times that even when we have agreed in principle, opportunity has been sought on what makes us different rather than what makes us the same. Now, many will say that's politics, and to be fair, it is. But the challenges that we are currently facing means that as a council, we need to do better going forward. Now, I appreciate last year was very much an elections year, and we have seen a lot of change. But personally, I feel that the politics in Cambridgeshire has been more toxic than ever before. And that's not a word that I use lightly, or a word that I'm happy that I feel is necessary to describe it. We need good people in local government, be that administration or opposition. We in this chamber all know that we are the ones with the support of our officers that get the day-to-day stuff done, the bins collected, houses looked after, and everything else that falls within our responsibility. National government, and I think we can agree on this, can make as many announcements as they very much like, but it is us on the ground that has to deliver them. The reorganisation is something that will polarise many people. We know that there are going to be varied views across the county and across this chamber, but the decisions that are made must be for what is right for residents and not political advantage. Whether you're administration or opposition, we all serve our residents, and we all must be allowed to serve them in the best way possible and have the information, tools and accessibilities of officers to be able to achieve that. Now, I referenced that it was an election year, and I wish to congratulate every county councillor in the chamber with us today that has either gained or retained their seat. Regardless of party, I wish them well as they strive to serve our county, because at the end of the day, we all live here and we all want the best for our area. It may be to the leader's relief that I'm not the county councillor in her patch, being just tipped to the post by 7 votes, but I would also say that this result serves as a reminder to everybody that every vote does matter and does count. Regardless of how people vote, democracy is only maintained by the active participation of electors. I also congratulate our new Mayor, Paul Bristow, and I'm sure we will see great things as his manifesto comes to life. I would stress upon the administration to judge things as they come forward on their merits and not based on party lines. That's not always happened in the past, but I remain hopeful that it will in the future. In the coming months, we will debate major issues, such as the 4-day week. I'm sorry, but it wouldn't be a roundup of the year if I didn't reflect on it. The way that things have been handled to date makes it very hard for us to have confidence that as opposition members, we will be given the time and access to information that we need to make informed decisions. The consultation fell very short in our view of what was promised nearly 3 years ago. And we had conflicting statements from the administration that it was a consultation on the 4-day week. Then it was not a consultation on the 4-day week, it was a consultation on services, and that happened in the same meeting. We then had people having to set up accounts, on which we know that puts people off taking part. If you're serious about engagement with people, you must make it as easy as possible for people to take part, and that simply did not happen. Everybody, us and all the public, have busy lives. We need to make sure consultations are easy. And this does rise a sense of unfairness. That is why, in my view, it's so unpopular with many people. Because even those who I spoke to that may be supportive of the 4-day week are disappointed and concerned about the lack of democratic involvement that has been in this process to date. Now, to a certain extent, looking over old wounds does not help us move forward to the future that I spoke about. But I do wish that every member of the administration today, when they leave this chamber, thinks about how it was handled, things like the press being told before council staff, to ask a question about whether you are happy looking for a job and it's a positive thing that way, but not if you're happy to fund it, or as it's been referred to, gifting a day off. Things like that could have been done differently, and lessons need to be learnt so that in the future we might not all have to go through such a turbulent and quite destructive process that has polarised us, and the nature of our council meetings has changed accordingly. Although I appreciate there are efforts on both sides to try and restore how things used to be and more collaborative working. But that will take time, and all I can do is say that we all here on our side of the chamber are willing to do that. While we are not shy about saying when we don't agree, when we can, we will support ideas regardless of party boundaries that are right for our residents. I would like to reflect on that note on where we have been able to agree, which I think is that nationally the current government is not doing local government or many of our residents any favours, be it the reorganisation of councils at the same time as we have major planning changes, There was no hint of things like the winter fuel allowance being cut or the family farm tax when they stood for election. And I just think that our district and our countryside particularly faces threats the like of which we have never seen before. I think a big part of the problem, whether it's local elections or national ones here, is it's become in many respects an arena for the politics of hate. When there is chanting of A, B, C, anything but conservative, and emphasis on anything, well, we certainly are experiencing that now with this government, but that's not promoting a different policy. That's not promoting a different direction. It's hating a different viewpoint. Now, do I think that every person in this chamber is responsible for every political statement that is made by members of their own party, locally or nationally? Absolutely not. We are all individuals. While we may share the same political beliefs or values, we are all responsible for our own behaviour and for our own actions. We stood together when we said that we would campaign for debate, not hate. But sometimes it does feel like they are words and not actions. One place which is a truly unpleasant place to attend are the meetings of the Greater Cambridge Partnership Assembly. Tolerance of other people's views is what gives us polite and safe society, but it does not always happen there. Now, I am not opposed to a good, robust debate and advice. Lord knows Councillor John Williams and I have had a lot of robust debate over the years. The advice I was given was you need to have a thick skin in local government by Councillor Nick Wright, and he very much was spot on there. But sometimes it does go beyond that when we go outside this council chamber. And then it becomes more demonising and dismissing, or classed as a second-rate citizen because you have values different to another. That is something that the GCP Assembly has come to feel like, and this chamber is not immune to this. So as we come into potentially another election year, and I know as councillors we are the grassroots, they call us, and we get very tired year on year of elections. But I ask that all just take a moment to think about what we are trying to achieve, whether opposition or administration, and how we can set our differences aside for the best view of our residents. And we can set our different viewpoints out to the public, and of course be clear and robust about our differences and talk about the actions we would do differently to the other, but to do so in a way that we do not make others unsafe or incite hate of another simply because we disagree with them. There is strength in disagreement. At no point do I believe that anybody in this chamber does not care about where we live, and maybe if we focus more on what we can agree on, whilst also being clear when we don't, and that it's okay to have different views. It's okay for everybody in this chamber to have the same view as well, and to voice it as loudly as they may wish. So lastly, going forward, I ask the administration to look at how things can be done better, because I've warned before the dangers of us not changing course, and with local government reorganisation, there are forces at play far bigger than the few issues that separate us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Now we can move on to item 16 of the agenda, which is the annual report on the use of special urgency procedures and decisions where call-in has been waived. You can find this on pages 115 to 117 of your agenda pack. Does any member wish to speak on this item? I see no hands. Council has been asked to note this report and we have noted it. Item 17 on the agenda is a report on constitutional changes in respect of planning. I invite the lead cabinet member for planning, Councillor Sumi Hawkins, to introduce this report and move the recommendations. Councillor Hawkins.
Thank you very much, Chair. As we know, the Greater Cambridgeshire Planning Service is a joint service providing our planning functions for both us in South Cambs and Cambridge City. We have gone through some transformational changes over the years since we came together to make the service work as seamlessly and efficiently as possible. And what we have before us today is one of those stages. We invited the Planning Advisory Service back in 2020 to review the planning committees. And we had some recommendations from them, and we have been implementing those recommendations, which obviously included how the committees operated. Now, we've then carried out further comprehensive review over the last, say, 6 to 12 months. And this has been done by a member officer working group. And the report before us today is the final outcome of that work. We identified the need to streamline planning processes, improve transparency, and focus committee efforts on the complex or sensitive applications. If there is one council meeting that gets lots of views, the recording, it's the planning committee meetings. These meetings are what I will call the face or the shop front of the council. And as such, we need to make sure that the process and operation are the best that they can be. So we are proposing constitutional changes to the South Cambs planning functions to align with Cambridge City Council and the Joint Development Management Committee, which are the 3 planning committees across both councils. The proposed reforms include adopting a unified scheme of delegation across the service, which will allow for more efficient use of time and resources. Let's just say, I know the Labour government's already working on its own agenda for planning committees. I'm glad to say we are ahead of them on that score. Removing detailed officer delegations from the Constitution and placing them in a separate, more adaptable scheme of delegation. This shift will enable quicker updates in response to evolving government planning reforms without requiring constitutional amendments. And as was said earlier on, the Civic Affairs Committee has had a look at some of these changes, and I must say thank you to them. But going forward, things will be a lot easier, or should be. Also, we're creating supporting documents such as a revised public speaking scheme. We've updated the site visit protocol, practice guide for members, and a visual guide to the delegation to aid understanding the implementation of the process. Now, these changes have been discussed at and endorsed by all the 3 relevant planning committees, as said, as well as the Civic Affairs Committee, but they will take effect immediately pending the full council today approving these changes. Ultimately, the goal is to enhance the effectiveness and consistency of the planning process across the shared service. Also, very importantly, by focusing committee time on the high-impact applications and delegating routine decisions to officers, the council aims to better serve our communities across both council areas whilst improving our statutory performance indicators. Now, we will be reviewing the new scheme of delegation in 12 months' time after we've implemented it to assess its impact and, where necessary, make further improvements. Finally, but very importantly, I want to thank the DM manager, Rebecca Smith, for leading this work, and to all the officers for the time and effort that has gone into the review, and their patience with us members. They've had to be patient with us. And thank you to all the planning committee members who have attended the various workshops for the ideas and recommendations that came forward and that we discussed. I would therefore like to move the recommendations as in paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 on page 119 of our report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hawkins. Is there a seconder for this item? Councillor Bradnam, did you wish to speak now?
I'll speak now.
Go ahead.
Chair, thank you. Much of what I would have said has been already said very eloquently by Councillor Dr. Toomey Hawkins, and I would like to commend this to the council because it's it simplifies the work of the planning committees, and it regularises it across the 3 planning committees, and it will harmonise the way we work together. If I may say at this point, the only objection I have ever had to this principle is that I still believe the Joint Development, now called Management Committee, should have simply been called the Joint Planning Committee in the interests of clarity to the public. And I still feel that is something that we ought to work towards. However, the principles otherwise are absolutely sensible and have been very thoroughly reviewed by the panel members and also members of the planning committees. And I speak in this, sorry, I should have said that, I speak in this as our representative for many years to the Joint Development Control Committee, as it was, both chair and vice chair. But the whole principle of taking out the detail and putting into a document on its own makes perfect sense, because then the planning committees themselves can recommend any changes as they need to going forward without having to go back to the Constitution for a change. So fully recommend this to the Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bradnam. Does any member wish to speak on this item? Councillor Heather Williams.
Thank you. I would like to say thank you to the officers very much for the work. I know how much work has gone into this and how much we have been consulted with as members, which it's been something I've criticised in the past. There's definitely been improvement there. We were definitely part of that process. There are things that I see as improvements in the document. For example, allowing local members to attend the delegation panels to see what's said. I think that's something that we've wanted for a long time. And that's happening. I think there is still a lot of work to do in the notification and to ensure that local members are informed if things are going to those panels and informed if they're going to committee, because we know that has been patchy at points. For me, there is the fundamental principle of officers having the final decision over what applications come to committee and what don't. And from my point of view, while that's in there, as greater improvements there are in other areas, it's a matter of principle that I don't think that's the right way around. I understand why the changes were made, but automatic calling would equally do the same job and would put the hands into those democratically elected. So I'm afraid I can't support it, but that does not mean I don't appreciate the work that has gone into drafting it.
Thank you. Councillor Dr. Richard Williams.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to make a few brief comments. I just wanted to echo what's been said earlier about the engagement from officers. And I did just want to put on record particular thanks to Stephen Kelly, who really went out of his way to reach out to me about some concerns I had, and also Rebecca Smith as well, who's done an amazing amount of work. So I did want to thank both of those officers who really did go the extra mile to address some of the points I'd made. Obviously, as Councillor Heather Williams has said, we do have a principled objection to something in this revised scheme of delegation, but I do appreciate the work. And on perhaps a slightly less serious note, I could just say I'm very pleased to see better maps for the JDCC area, so that we don't have any more debates about whether something is with or without the JDCC area. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more requests to speak? I see no hands. Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation, or do we need a recorded? I think we need a recorded vote. Dem Services, can you set up a recorded vote, please? Members, the vote is on your microphones in front of you now. As always, it's green to vote in favour of this item, red against, and yellow to abstain. I think that's everyone. Okay, we have 27 votes in favour, 7 against, therefore the item is approved. Thank you. Item 18 on your agenda is a report from the monitoring officer recommending some non-substantive changes to the Constitution. I invite the monitoring officer, Mr. John Murphy, to introduce the report. John.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Chair. First of all, I'd like to express my thanks to the Democratic Services team who have assisted through the year by compiling and thinking of ideas to improve our Constitution. Further, I'd like to thank members who sat on Civic Affairs, who considered this report and discussed it. And the report itself is fairly short, it's fairly self-explanatory. There is one addendum of 4 words that I would like to add. At Civic Affairs, they reviewed the sentence which says, when the chair stands during a debate, any member speaking at the time must stop and sit down. And Civic Affairs want that to be changed, so it reads, when the chair stands or gives another signal during a debate, any member speaking at any time must stop. Chair, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. I am proposing these changes myself. Is there a seconder? Councillor Wilson will second. Does any member wish to speak on this item? You may be seated or standing, whichever you prefer. I see no request to speak. Members, are you content to take this decision by affirmation?
Agreed.
Does anyone wish to vote against the proposal? Does anyone wish to abstain? The Council therefore agrees this motion by affirmation. Thank you. Skip over item 19, Pampersford, we've done that already. And move on to item 20, Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority. Council is invited to note the updates from the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority. Do our representatives on the Combined Authority have any comments they wish to make? Councillor Smith, Councillor Khan, Councillor Williams, anyone?
I'm very happy to answer any questions on the report. Actually, could I just say one thing? Sorry, it was a mistake on my behalf during the announcements not to announce and welcome Mayor Paul Bristow into his role. So I'm sorry, I should have done that. So yes, my congratulations to him. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no request to speak, no questions. We're invited to note this item, and I think we have noted it. Item 21, Greater Cambridge Partnership. Council is invited to note the updates from the Greater Cambridge Partnership. Do our representatives on the GCP have any comments they wish to make? Councillor Milnes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I too welcome the election of Paul Bristow. It was a sparse victory for our opposition party in an otherwise, yes, interesting night. And I particularly welcome Paul Bristow's statement that he wants to work for all of Cambridgeshire and Peterborough. I'm less entranced with his suggestion that the GCP might be dissolved. Clearly we're going to be looking forward to his deliberations over his remit, his influence, power and agency over these things. But I don't believe he's got any power to dissolve the joint committee of the 3 councils that compose the GCP. There will be changes on both the board and in the Assembly because of changes in leadership in the city, for example, and on the county. So we look forward to our first board meeting with that. And we look forward to the continued contribution of the Assembly And when we get criticised for being an elected or anti-democratic body, the Assembly is a public acknowledgement of the influence of elected members on the GCP policy and its contribution to decision-making about the course of its work. So I look forward to that continued contribution and happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I see no hands or requests to speak on this item. Council is invited to note the item, and I believe we have noted it. Item 22 is update to the Oxford to Cambridge Regional Partnership, and there are no updates to report. I understand the Oxford to Cambridge Regional Partnership is in the final stages of being dissolved, so this item may well be removed at the next full council. Item 23. Oh, Councillor Williams, go ahead.
Thank you. I referenced what you said about it might be removed. There was a request at the previous meeting, I believe, that there be a final document, sort of, I don't know what you call, winding up document. Could we please not have it off the agenda until that's happened? If that's agreeable. So, yeah, until it is over, I think it
My
should stay.
understanding is the final report will be presented
At the next meeting.
probably to the next full council. So yes, good catch. Thank you. Item 23, update on the work of the Cambridge Growth Company. I invite the leader to speak on this report.
Thank you. I think everything's in the report, but happy to answer any questions, if I can.
Councillor Dr. Richard Williams.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just two questions. One relates to something that's in paragraph 5, which is where it says the Water Scarcity Group is supporting water retrofit strategies of council-owned properties. I was just wondering if the leader could give us a bit more detail as to the form that support is taking and what the Water Scarcity Group is actually doing there. My second question is a slightly broader question. I think that there were many members of the council at Great St Mary's last Thursday evening when we heard from Peter Freeman. In fact, I think you could have held a meeting of the JDCC in that meeting, because I think all the JDCC members were there. But it did strike me that we were all turning up to that meeting to hear from Peter Freeman, and there isn't really very much engagement with members of councils. We did have one briefing for which I think we were all very grateful, but there hasn't been anything since. So could I just urge the leader, as I'm sure she's doing anyway, but just with the support of the council, to impress upon the Cambridge Growth Company that if they want to build any broad base of public support for what they're trying to do, they should engage more with councils and elected members.
Thank you. Leader?
Thank you very much indeed. So if I take the sort of second part of your question first, because I don't actually know what the answer is to the first one, but I'm going to have to think about it. So I agree. I think the thing is this: everything's moving very slowly here. So Peter Freeman did come come here, and we've certainly I think we asked him to come every 6 months or so. Didn't we? I'm looking at the chief executive, but I will we will reiterate that. There's no point in him coming when there's nothing really substantive to say, because otherwise, I think, so I had a number of colleagues, including the deputy leader, who attended that meeting. I was away on holiday in Devon at the time, but I'm told that Peter Freeman struggled to answer quite a lot of the questions because they're not at the point of having answers yet. I think it was quite brave of him to do it, but it's it's good that he is willing to. He's now got I think 2 engagement officers working for him. So I think he's now that he's getting people in place, hopefully there'll be a proper strategy and a proper plan for the engagement with us as as partners in this, obviously as well as the wider communities. And on the retrofit of the water credit system, I don't understand how it's going to work. And I'm looking to officers to see if anybody can answer the question, because it's a question that I've had as well. Thank you. Chief
Executive.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I can probably explain a little bit about it, but we can get you a written briefing. So, as you know, you can install measures to reduce water usage in homes, and also water meters to measure water usage. And both of those things together tend to have a positive impact on water usage and on people's bills. And so that is broadly what's happening. I can get you a more detailed briefing if you'd like one, Councillor Williams.
Councillor Heather Williams.
Thank you. And yes, I think that would be interesting to see sort of a bit more flesh on when proposals are coming forward. Also, a sort of plea from me that when we're being represented at these meetings, that a reminder is made that the green belt is not there just to look pretty or to even look green. It is there to ensure there is not urban sprawl in the countryside. And it does feel for me that principle has, we've got grey belt being bandished about and this, that and the other. That's getting lost and forgotten what the actual purpose of it is. There's this view that the green belt has to be green. It's nice if it is, but actually, even if it is a track or not a field, it's important that we make sure that they don't have that urban sprawl that then becomes the merging of city and the villages.
Shall I come back?
Yes, Councillor Smith.
Yes, Councillor Williams, I completely agree. And our local plan gives considerable protection to the green belt, and and hopefully that message is getting across to Peter Freeman and his team. And we have a high bar on exceptional circumstances, and it's really up to I suppose his team and government to to demonstrate the fact that those exceptional circumstances aren't preventing any development. But as things stand at the moment, we do not know where development's going. So we're still quite early on in those discussions. But certainly we talk about Greenbelt a lot.
Thank you. Councillor Milnes, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, just one thing briefly. I think the question involved on the water credits and what are we doing internally in the council. So one of the things that I know that we're actively doing is auditing our properties to whether they have water meters or not, for example. So it is a part of the work in progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bradnam.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just wanted to let people here know, if they weren't at Peter Freeman's, as you say, courageous standing in front of the public and being questioned rightly, robustly. Towards the end of the meeting, I asked the Cambridge Growth Company, through Peter Freeman, to be mindful, and I'm thinking about the point that Councillor Heather Williams has made about Greenbelt and the value of that, and that it shouldn't be squandered, and I absolutely agree. And one of the things I asked for was that early doors, the Cambridge Growth Company should think in terms of safeguarding areas of green space for both agriculture but also for recreation and amenity, so that we don't have all of the city area and the Greater Cambridge area being built out willy-nilly without any space for people to relax and have leisure. So, and he said yes, he was bearing that in mind. So let's hope he does.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak on this item? See no hands. Council is invited to note the updates, and I think we have noted it. Item 24, Chair's engagements, previous Chair's engagements as listed in the papers. Councillor Williams?
I wanted to get in before Councillor Bradnam. On the last one, I think it's meant to be Cambridge. Sorry.
We've got two proofreaders. Hey.
There you go. You've got to let me have one, Anna.
Okay, at this point, this draws our annual meeting to a close. The next council meeting will be held on the 17th of July at 2 p.m. Thank you all.